Welcome to Geopolitics in Conflict, breaking news.
Boy, do we have a hot topic today. Energy shortages in Europe, great concern, and energy shortages in China.
China. That's
And-
correct, Russ.
And you know, we had in Europe we had finance ministers just meeting on this as in a crisis mode.
That's correct. What the issue has to do with where China is regarding its energy consumptions, and it looks like Europe now is shifting the blame on China. Well, why is that? It's because according to some records reports that just came out, China's energy consumption of energy is going up to the roof. The reason being two things: because it's emergence from the pandemic,
Yeah.
and also because of the high prices of the coal. So, and those are impacting the market on a global level to the point that Europeans now are very concerned. And Europe seems to be shifting the blame on China because China is using a lot of energy regarding, the search for its economy and so forth. But all this one has to do with, of course, the OPEC meeting,
Oh yeah.
which decided not to increase production. And with the prices hovering over $80 a barrel, there is now concerns in Europe how Europe is going to be facing the winter in the next few months. And all this is tied to coal, but also is tied to LNG, the liquefied natural gas,
Right.
which you and I, and I'm sure our viewers know, as far as China's consumption of this energy, of liquefied natural gas, but also of oil, because China's market is big and they need a lot. We did a video on it a couple of times ago.
Right.
Yeah. And the argument was that not the argument, but rather the energy agency, the International Energy Agency, estimated that China will be consuming about between 12 to 16 million barrels a day by 2030.
We also have the interplay of Australia in this. You know, you talk about how everything is connected to everything else. China is now looking for new resources for coal.
Well, that's correct, because of the trade tension that's going on between Australia and China. And we all know Australia is a producer of coal. As a matter of fact, they are now concerned in Australia how these arguments about the global warming and the upcoming meeting in Scotland of regarding global change, how it's going to impact Australia, because Australia's industry, majority of them depends on the coal. So Australia is going to be caught between
a rock and a hard place.
as far as, yeah, you're right, Russ, because they're going to be concerned about, do we support our industry or we risk our reputation on a global stage? Well, we all know Australia already damaged its reputation when it became a police state. So, but that's not the point for all this. This one has to do with the energy consumption regarding China's market, but also the shortage that's going to be in Europe, which we are witnessing right now.
Well, Putin even put his 2 cents in, which happens to be a whole lot more than 2 cents.
That's correct. For Putin, that's the concerns not the concern, but that's one of the things that finance ministers of the EU, it will be one of the topics they're going to be discussing. There are two things. One of them has to do with Putin's decision regarding energy, and the second has to do with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. And the strategic concern of Europe with this is, are we going to be dependent only on Russia? Well, it's because it's a deal that they cut with the Russians, the European Union cut with the Russians, but they are concerned about that one. Interesting enough is that Vladimir Putin today announced that he is willing to increase oil production. Because remember, he is a member of the OPEC Plus, which doesn't adhere to the regulations of OPEC, the oil producing exporting countries. But OPEC have indicated so far that they are willing to consider an increase, but a gradual one. And I don't see them doing that for one reason and one reason only, because oil prices are going up. I'm sure you noticed, if you fill up your gas tank in your car, you noticed how oil prices are. I don't see OPEC doing that. So Russia always was that player that can influence the global market one direction or another. And Russia has enough oil. So they're not going to flood the market, of course, because
Then prices will go down.
Yeah, and we'll lose money. Exactly. So, but interesting that Europeans now is going to be looking for in their discussions with the foreign ministers as to what decisions they're going to pursue. And mind you, all this just happened in the wake of the OPEC meeting in Luxembourg.
Well, we know that having a sole source for what you desperately need is not a good idea.
It's not. And that is why China has now decided, when I say now, I'm referring to the past 5, 6, 7 years, decided to diversify its suppliers. So they're not going to depend on only the Middle East, oil from Middle East. That's why they diversify so many. So it will be interesting to see how this is going to impact, especially when you think about oil prices. What do you think about? The shipments of goods, and there is already the issue now of the prices of containers. That is, look no further than what we have in LA port.
Right.
I'm sure you heard about what's going on with it. The containers are just sitting there, and the cost of it used to be about $8,000, if I'm not mistaken, give or take, $8,000 a container. Guess what they are now today? Yeah, about $15,000.
Almost double.
Yeah, 15, which it tells you a lot. And the other big concern that a lot of people thinking about is the Christmas holidays, the shipments of Christmas items and all that. So there's already a concern around the markets, around the global market. That is, will the goods be shipped on time? Maybe not.
Well, it's all over the news right now about the blackouts in China, and those look serious. I mean, that not only impacts individual people, but transportation, manufacturing. I mean, just everything.
Yeah. Well, exactly, Ross, and that is a big concern. And funny you mentioned that, because we're gonna do a show about it soon. And that leads now to the question. Should we, or when I say we, I'm referring to all of us.
Yeah.
Should we, all of us, start to think about nuclear energy, fusion, for example, as another alternative? And because the transition from the oil, coal, and natural gas to a green energy ain't gonna happen overnight. You remember when we had our guest, Art Berman?
Oh, yeah.
When we talked, and he agreed. He's somebody who knows a great deal about oil and all that. And he did say that this transition is not going to be easy. Ain't going to happen quick. Europeans are now finding that out the hard way. They realize they can talk about the green energy, but you can't convert to it overnight. It requires money and time.
And there's also a big question of, can you actually produce enough green energy to overcome the dependence on oil and coal? That's a big question, because you go to Europe and you see fields of wind turbines.
Mm-hmm.
You see solar reflectors. Even when you look out into the Atlantic Ocean, you see wind turbines out there. They're trying, but they're not coming close to matching coal and liquefied natural gas and oil.
That's correct. And this explains why, for example, China went ahead and forced the ties with Turkmenistan. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
That natural gas pipeline. It's to ensure access to that. But just to go back to your point about Europe, and this highlights now why Britain is in such deep economic troubles. We all can see why, because first of all, they don't have any drivers for the trucks to bring oil from refineries to gas stations, but let alone the cost now.
Oh, yeah.
Because as we said, oil prices now is around $80 a barrel. That's the highest in 7 years. I've been arguing personally way back that oil price is not going to go back to $100 anytime soon. However, when we realized how low it dropped a couple of years ago, it is now around 80. So you can just see where this is going to be impacting the global market, mainly the Chinese market, because Chinese market is global, is big, and anything happens on a global market like China will trickle down.
We also see that after the pandemic is largely under control,
exactly,
we see the economy starting to really recover. Oh, the energy shortage does not help the recovery at all.
That's for sure. And all this, Russ, came during a very, very tumultuous time regarding the U.S.-China trade. Well, as you know, the U.S. representative for trade is going to be meeting with the Chinese soon to talk about certain guidelines. And China was like, whatever, It's because here is the way I look at it, and this might be a weird analogy. What she's talking about, Christine Tai, she's the representative, the U.S. representative for trade that is going to be negotiating with China. Basically, they are telling China, the Department of Labor, U.S. telling the Chinese that, well, you need to adhere to your commitments for the phase one, which phase one required that the China will buy more merchandise from the U.S. But guess what? That was in 2019 or 2018 when it was signed. Then the pandemic happened. It changed the dynamics. And this is why China didn't buy parts, for example, from Boeing. Right? They didn't buy parts from Airbus too. So, but what the U.S. representative is saying, basically, it's almost like, I feel, the analogy of an old wine in a new bottle. Is the same thing, because they are maintaining the tariffs that the Trump administration imposed on China back then. So what's new about what you are going to propose to the Chinese? And that's what I don't see. Even the meeting that just took place yesterday, or the day before, rather, in Switzerland, between the National Security Advisor and the high-ranking officer from China.
I have to wonder, what would it be like if the United States came into this with a blank piece of paper and said, okay, let's really figure out how we can work together on this, as opposed to all these preconditions, which really stymie good communication, they stymie real negotiation.
Yeah, exactly. And I just don't see them, based on what I read and we're going to talk about this tomorrow in detail during our live stream. We're going to highlight some of this when we do a tour around the world, and that will be one of the things we're going to tackle. So for now, we just wanted to share with our viewers this breaking news regarding the energy meeting in Europe, and how that is tied to the China energy consumption, and why the Europeans are now shifting the blame, or is the Chinese markets consuming all the energy we need and all that stuff. So, but it's all about the shortage in coal and liquefied natural gas. But liquefied natural gas is not the shortage, is the high prices.
Yeah,
that is really, really spiking up, a big deal. So, so we just wanted to share this with you to keep you updated on what's going on, and we hope to see you tomorrow, hopefully, for our live stream.
We're about to do another live stream.
So, and we're gonna do another live stream soon on what just emerged from Taiwan. You might want to check that out soon. Thank you very much, and as always, stay informed. Till next time. Bye bye.